What's up, Bleach fans? Mr. 22304 here, bringing you a slightly late review of Bleach 508, Like a Raging Fire. This continues the pretty epic battle between Yamamoto Shigekuni and Juha Bach, leader of the Quincy Vandenreich. And as has been a sort of trend lately, the chapter starts off with the Blondstromer giving a rather casual commentary of the fight so far, and he says that the flames, 15 million degrees, there's no way there could be a visual representation of fire right before me. Is it some kind of illusion? But he realises no, it's actually just the overwhelming power and force of Yama's Reiatsu. It's coating him like a shroud, billowing off of him, and it gives him the look of fire. And the blonde stomacher just looks on in awe at Yamamoto Shigekuni, and Yamamoto just is breathing fire. His body is coated in it, and the Reiatsu that ebbs out of him is flame. And Yamamoto says to Juha Bach, well then, let's end this. And he's serious now, it's time to end the fighting. Because if it doesn't end pretty soon, as I predicted a couple of chapters back, Yamamoto will die, along with Juha Bach and pretty much all of Soul Society. So then we get a pretty cool title page, which is just like a raging fire, sort of drawn on pretty hastily. It looks really cool though, it's got a really good effect. And then Yamamoto takes the step towards Juha Bach. And if you remember last week, at the end of the last chapter, 507, Yamamoto activated the second ability of his Bankai Zanka no Tachi Zanjutsu Gokui West, and it coated him in like a flaming armour that was originally invisible, but he made it visible to Juha Bach's eyes, and he's got sort of wings of fire, and it looks really cool. He takes a step towards Bach, and Bach is thinking to himself, it's literally like I'm on fire. My eyes, my hair, my throat, and if it weren't for my Blue vein, I'd be ashes by now. And this is pretty big stuff, because he's the apparently top gun of the Vandenreich, and you can tell he's fearing this power. It's very real, it's very visceral. Yamamoto says, so what's wrong, you're just going to stand there? But then he says that maybe his question was a little bit mean-spirited, because he knows that Bach no longer has his sword after severing it to the molecular level, so maybe Bach just wants to run. But Yamamoto, angry as he is, says that he'll just capture him and kill him anyway. And we get another badass angry Yama panel. We seem to be getting a lot of those lately, but they don't disappoint. And Bach, he's scared, his eyes are wide, there's no eyes in here, he knows when he's outmatched. And he instantly whips his arm back and summons a massive Heilig Fail, a little bit like Driscoll Bursey's talisman, except this one seems to be forked at the back, and he launches it at Yama, only for Yama to knock it aside. And it's almost like he actually just cuts it down. It's a little bit unclear, but all we can see is he moves his sword and the arrow just explodes. And he says that, oh yeah, that's right, you still have your arrows, even though your sword's gone. And then Yamamoto says, well then, let's go. And he charges at him, and it's just like a flaming deity, a demon almost. Really incredible artwork. As the fire is just coming off his moustache, off his eyebrows, off his beard. Then you get this cool image, he's almost like a sun, a star in the air as he jumps towards Bach. So Bach outstretches his arm in a vain attempt to do something. And Yamamoto said, well, what's that? Nothing will work against me. And there seems to be a little bit of, admittedly not unfounded, but there definitely seems to be a bit of arrogance coming from Yamamoto. He's a bit naive, first stating that Bach didn't have any more techniques, only for Bach to reveal his arrows. So Yamamoto does not seem to be taking him too seriously, and Bach seems to be quick to want to change that. So he says that don't think Quincy's battle techniques are limited just to the Quincy Cross and the Quincy Heilig Fail. And he has this really cool thing where he sort of pulls out strips of paper covered in Roman numerals, and he utters this chant, Kirshin Lied. And then he summons this really cool looking, it's sort of a ring of Quincy towers, like the crosses made of Reiatsu, and it's called Zangi Schwinger. And, Bach he's like, amongst all the Quincy offensive and defensive techniques, this spell is the greatest protection. And he's like, if you step inside here, the light of the Lord will tear you asunder. And so we can see again the sort of Christian vibes that are coming from these Quincy that Kubo seems to be giving us. They like to think themselves angelic. But Yamamoto just says, I told you it wouldn't work, and he slams the tip of his sword into the ground outside the Zangi Schwinger. And he utters this really ominous incantation. It's like, O corpses, ashes of the dead, scattered by my flames, lend me your aid. And as he says it, Bach seems to realise what's going on, as if he's seen this ability before. Yamamoto says that for a spell I shall grant you the pleasure of battle. Zanka no Tachi south, and the ground bursts, and we see just zombies just not even zombies, but they're like charred, burnt skeletons emerge from the ground with swords in their hand, and the ability is called Kaka. It's pretty long, Kaka Jumano Kushi Dai Sojin, and you know it looks amazing. If the picture is going to be the thumbnail for the video, it looks fantastic, fantastic artwork. We've got these creepy looking skeletons approaching the screen. If I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to analyse the picture itself here. Bach's Zanki Schwinger ability seems to be collapsing around them, so maybe they've somehow defeated it. But Yamamoto looks awesome. He's standing in the middle of them like almost Lucifer himself, with fire around him and these charred skeletons all climbing up from the Earth's ruins. A bit like the Inferno from Harry Potter. So unfortunately that's where the chapter ends again for this week. However, there can be some predictions. Originally, the idea was that if Yamamoto's Zanki no Tachi uses east and west, it's symbolic of the sun rising in the east and setting in the west. However, now that he's used south, there's likely to be a really high possibility that there's going to be a north. So what's it going to be? If south raised skeletons from the ground, my prediction is that north is going to be perhaps some kind of meteor shower, or maybe because I personally think that the attacks so far have been progressing in like their level of dangerousness, as if Yamamoto's trying to end it faster and faster and faster. So with the skeletons rising from the ground, that's the third level. So with the fourth, maybe he's going to like spirit bomb style pull in some kind of sun just to try and finish it in one go and level some of Soul Society at the same time. But I'm not sure. As for the chapter, I'm giving it a 9. The only problem is it felt incredibly short. There were 2 double pages, therefore technically effectively getting rid of 2 extra pages. It was only about a 17-page chapter. But regardless, it's good though, because it just means you want more. The final picture, absolutely amazing. I really love this battle. This is Yamamoto's longest and most epic fight so far. Really want to see where it goes next chapter. Really want to see what Bach's going to do. I think the predictions are still out there that he's going to survive. What do you think? Leave in the comment section below. What do you think Yamamoto's North ability is? Is he even going to have one? How's Bach even going to win? How is this fight going to end up? Write it in the comment section below. Tell me what you think of the chapter. Again, I give it a 9. I thought it was just an awesome read. The fire is raging. Check it out next week. See you later.